It's me, Rise. I can't really sleep right now, so I'm going to read something from stayawake on Reddit called The Taking Tree. I'm going to do it while you look at my face. So watch and listen. When I was a boy, my mother would always tell me to stay away from the tree in the backyard. She never told me why. Matter of fact, she would always say, if you get too close, you'll figure out why. Like a naive but responsible little boy that I was, I examined the tree and watched it. I never would stray too close to it, not because I was afraid, but because my mother would scream at me from the living room window to stay away. The tree never gave off any bad feelings. It was a beautiful tree. A weeping willow. This specific type of trees were definitely not uncommon to find here in the South. They were everywhere. Long, luscious, green, twig-like branches that hung from the actual branches themselves. Though, one day in the fall, when all the leaves fell and plants started to die, the tree grew bare and brittle due to cooler temperatures. I was in the backyard finishing up my chore outside of raking leaves when I couldn't help but stare at the tree. My mother wasn't home, so I decided to say screw it and walk up close to the tree. The closer I got to it, a sound of humming radiated from the tree. It was honestly a peaceful hum, and it made me feel nice and cozy. The tree had a gravitating effect to it, and the sound made me grow closer and closer, and eventually, there I was, standing in front of the monster of the tree. So close, I could touch it. So I did. The feeling of its rough bark scraping against my fingers felt nice. So nice. As I was standing there, I started to hear muffled yells pouring in from behind me. But I just didn't care until I was jerked away from the tree, which ultimately startled me. But I soon came to when I realized it was my mother that pulled me away, which confused me because my mother comes home from work at 8:30 p.m. and I started to do my chores at 2:30 p.m., which means that tree put me in a trance-like state for 6 entire hours. As my mother was berating me for touching the tree and explains how dangerous it was, I saw it. A tall, lanky figure. The thing was so skinny, I could make out every rib on its humanoid body. The thing that bothered me though was that I couldn't see its face. But in the moonlight I could make out that the figure was wearing a hood, but the hood seemed to be stitched onto its skin. I sat there in pure terror as the figure stood there at least 7 feet tall, scratching its long, bony, claw-like fingers up and down the side of the tree. My mother finally decided she had enough of me yelling at me and dragged me inside and sent me to bed without dinner. I'd usually read or watch TV before I officially go to sleep, but I lied there, in the darkness of my room wide awake, thinking about the hooded figure standing next to the tree. I must have stayed up for hours on end, because when I peered over at my alarm clock, it said 3:05 a.m. My young mind was just shook about what had happened, but also curious. So I decided to peer out of my bedroom window to see that he was still there. Long twig branches swaying in the chilly fall breeze. I saw no figure out there next to it this time, so it had me baffled. Suddenly I started to hear my bedroom door slowly and squeakily open. I had no idea who or what was coming in. I slowly turn around and see the giant lurking figure, hunched over but standing under my doorway. But unfortunately, due to the moonlight, I could see its hideously disfigured face, leering at me with the biggest cut-out grin I've ever seen. Eyes black as the night sky with star-like pupils, it let out a horrendously quiet, soft-sounding demonic breath and lunged at me. I tried to duck from my bed, but the thing grabbed me by the hair and started to drag me down the hall. I was kicking and screaming as hard and as loud as I humanly could, hoping my mother would wake up. The figure dragged me outside and taking me closer back to the tree, and now the sweet-sounding hum radiating from the tree grew louder and more sinister sounding, like a wail of dying goat. My mother eventually woke up and ran outside with a shotgun she usually sleeps with and let off some shots, and with the grace of God, that was enough for the creature to let go and lunge back up top of the tree, and as it was climbing, it was making a gurgling wheezing noise the entire time. Then once at the top, the most disturbing sound screech I will ever remember. Then it leapt off of the tree and rushed into the woods, never to be seen again. Wow, what a story. Creepy, but unrefined. Needs work. Good job.